Guten Morgen, herzlich
Good
willkommen.
morning, everyone, and welcome to our presentation about designing safe public spaces and why it needs training. Okay, let me know if you can't hear me. My name is Lorenz Schätzle, and I work for the German European Forum for Urban Security, together with my colleague Anna Rau. So, of course, if you have any questions, please feel free to type them into the chat and we will try and answer them. We would be happy to hear any feedback from you. We have 20 to 25 minutes together. First of all, I would like to present to you who we are and what we do. So we are the German part of the European Forum for Urban Security. And our motto is actually cities help cities. And we were founded in 1987 and currently have 250 members. And of course, we try and build our connections, and the work of our networks has three main pillars. The first one is urban security approach, and an approach that combines prevention, sanctions, and social cohesions together with all the stakeholders with a preventative approach and perspective so that we can support local and regional authorities together with the municipalities. And the third point stems from those two previous ones. That is to say, we try and strengthen the local mandate holders within national and European governance, security and development policies. So our network is based on the exchange of best practices and success story. Differs itself is, as I said, the German part of the forum. Currently, we have 18 members, and considering the tasks of differs, we try to transfer all the guidelines into our context, trying to understand what specific problems there are according to the German law, of course, pursuant to which the association was created. And we also take part in European events. So what are the contexts of our work? Training local authorities to provide cities with all possible security topic related issues and training. That is the definition in English. So first of all, we try to analyze the initial situation, then try and understand what problems come up. Then we try and create a project approach based on the target groups. Then 4 point is the implementation thanks to Secu4All training cycles in Germany, and then we assess the results. So first of all, I would like to start off with a global perspective. So public spaces should be open in principle. This may sound banal, but for us, this is actually a function-oriented definition. So irrespective of the fact that those spaces are used for public or private purposes, the main topic is that those areas should be accessible. So open spaces that mainly for those projects are characterized by diversity and variety. What is that? What does that mean? So those are the important components of urban life, considering the personal, cultural, and political exchange that we would like to foster in public spaces. And of course, those areas are utilized by a number of users and are impacted on by a number of ways of use, the different facilities, and so on and so forth. And the consequence is obviously that such diversity may lead to conflicts, different priorities, different powers that come into the game. So a conflict is not a reason why public spaces can't work properly. Rather, the other way around, we should be even more proactive and listen to all the different actors. We should try and manage in the best possible way those situations so that we can actively listen to everybody and find a peaceful solution. So there are negative aspects connected to public spaces and open spaces. First of all, the diversity and density of views, which often leads to conflicts, as I've just stated, between different user groups. And a particular vulnerability is also to be observed, and it is due to natural hazards and man-made threats. And we may think about terroristic attacks or natural catastrophes or petty crime, for example. So all those aspects have an enormous impact onto how people perceive public spaces. So this is an analysis of all the problems that may come up. So, of course, the first thing to be considered is how people feel in those areas. So there is a concept of safety that may be considered as subjective or objective. So if people fear spaces and what the crime burden is, as I've just mentioned. So the second point is a threshold for action. So we may observe a phenomenon that may be turned into a problem, that may be turned into a threat. So at what point does a problem become a danger? So how can we go about public spaces and how can we make them safe? It may have to do with circulation, for example, or how many people there are, what type of activities are held. So once again, the perception of the individuals in terms of those specific areas. Then another point to be mentioned is the possible reduced vulnerability without reduced quality of use. What does that mean? For example, in this case, we can have different perspectives and different programs or different filters for reality, if you will. Well, all those elements are also connected to the public policies and state design and city design, for example. So city planning, if you will, all those aspects play a role. And this makes it relatively difficult to overcome some disciplinary issues that may be present. And then another issue is the fact that sometimes there is little awareness or willingness to play the role of a security actor. So what is our approach? Our goal is to train urban authorities to protect public spaces through an integrated training program. How do we go about that? Our approach to security is holistic. So combining different skills and areas in terms of prevention, urban planning and design, technology, and crisis management. And then there is a second point, that is to say, a type of planning that should be cyclical and long-term, along other resilience cycles. So planning, prevention, preparation, response, recovery, and assessment. These are the keywords, obviously depending on the budget that is offered for any type of activities. So we have tried, considering this resilience cycle, to go about all those aspects and have them blend in. So our target group, what is our target group? Actually, Secure for All advocates a multi-stakeholder approach to securing public spaces. So in particular, with the actors that are responsible for security in public spaces. For example, authorities and organizations with security tasks, crisis management, or management of transport and urban transport, in particular, the Department of Safety and Order, municipal prevention, urban planning, urban design, aid organization, representatives of civil society. This may have to do with tourism as well, culture and youth service. So there are many complex areas that we would like to involve. So this is a list of our project partners. DITSS, for example, they are the Dutch Institute for Technology, Safety and Security, DSP, the European Organization for Security, which is a big player in terms of security solutions. Then we have CHIMEA, that is the Center for Security Studies. Then we have Crimina from Spain, obviously the different forums, so the German one, the Italian one, the French one, Europe-wide. Then we have the others that are listed here in Brussels and in The Hague. So what is our cycle in terms of training? So the idea is to protect soft targets in public spaces. So mainly considering terroristic attacks. This means that this doesn't mean actually that we don't want to utilize this approach for problems that are not as huge, rather the opposite, but we need to focus on the main issues first. So there is a division between theory and practice, as you can see, and the pandemic has obliged us to perform our training sessions online instead of on site. So from the theoretical approach, we can derive 4 pillars: vulnerability assessment, urban design management and planning, crisis management, communication, innovative technologies. That are the 4 pillars on which the sessions are based. Then we have a question, that is to say, the division of public spaces security in many different branches. So we try and ask questions to the participants. What are the problems that are perceived, and what are the problems and issues to be solved, so that they can make informed decisions in terms of what aspects of the public space need acting upon. So criminal prevention, for example, and urban design, management and planning, as we said. So this is actually the conception, the design of public spaces. And we need to know what resources we have, which is what we focus on the second part of our training. Of course, we always have limited resources, so it's an important question to be asked: what we have at hand and how we want to utilize those resources, and then what conditions are there from a technological / technical viewpoint, conditions to be met, for example, monitoring systems and so on and so forth. And thank you very much to our colleagues from Spain for showing us a single innovative solutions that we could adopt in Germany as well. So what technological solutions could be of help? So, for example, in terms of social problems, then, as I said, the third module focuses on what happens when the theoretical approach doesn't work. So how can we manage crises, and how we can communicate what we do through the right channels. So there has been a big interest displayed by the urban design departments, for example, from this viewpoint, or the police forces or firefighters. This pertains to crisis management. And after finishing and completing those online elements, we move on to what I'm going to show you before, which is a practical approach. So this is Raschplatz in the city of Hanover. It's a square close to the central station. Here is a close-up of the area. You can already see the composition of the area. You see the roads that lead to the stations and where the trains go past. Here you see another couple of pictures from a safety viewpoint. We've tried to understand what the issues are in the area, what levels there are. You can see that there are many crossing points that are difficult to see and that may constitute a safety related problem. So we decided to work on that with our expert group to exchange best practices and knowledge as well as expertise. You can see on the table what we tried to do. We wanted to find, first of all, a common language, and you can see it here, how we went about it with those posters, the stickers, the notes, and so on and so forth, in terms of a crisis communication, what problems were more relevant, what were identified, what the audience is, what the messages were, and the means to communicate. So it's obviously difficult to find some common ground when one is used to working in a specific field, but the most important thing was to get in touch with one another and foster this exchange. On the right-hand side, once again, I would like to underline an example of crisis communication with the whole team. So that was the output of our discussion process, and then after this intensive dialogue, we utilized this EU tool, a table, which is actually a highly complex challenge in terms of risk assessment. For us, the most important thing was that people would try and start explaining their position and actually supporting their position. Why do I think that one option is more plausible than another one, and so on and so forth, utilizing this risk matrix, and what are the issues, unanswered questions, answered questions as we define them, and what are the lessons learned. So I believe that urban safety can only succeed as a community project that covers the positive and negative aspects of public spaces equally. So this approach does not require new tools, but we need the awareness or even self-awareness of the actors involved as security relevant and effective development, the effective development of a common language and shared understanding of the problem. So that was very nice to see. We could observe how things developed within the group. We came up with a formulation of a shared vision for a truly public spaces, or better said, a true public space. And we have also aimed at increasing exchanges in terms of expertise within and between cities. So the feedback was completely positive. So we were asked, why didn't we do that before? And what are the outcomes? So the first thing that we would like to offer is the document, the documents and the training sessions that you can find on our digital platform, where we published the training content, as I said, in a number of formats. And then we also noticed that there is a great demand for such trainings, and there is no comparable offer in Germany so far. So there is a clear preference for intensive face-to-face workshops instead of online seminars. And in the interest of time, I would say that I've come to the end of my presentation. Here are the details should you wish to get further information about our projects. Thank you very much.